Good morning. Praying that you all had a restful night, or wherever you may are, you may just be getting ready to lay it down. And I'm definitely praying that you also have great rest. Um, this morning, briefly, I just want to talk about a cliche saying, and y'all have probably heard, a lot of people say it over the years. Um, be sure to heal your wounds. Be sure to heal your wounds so that way you don't begin to bleed on others. And when I think of this, I can look at it from two ways, right? So, yeah, it can be one of those things where one's life experiences, we always talk about what has shaped us, our worldviews, our belief systems, what is cultivated, just the way we have this outlook and the way we view others and the way we view the world, right? So that's, one side of it that may cause us to potentially, bleed on others or act in a way that may not, be openly received just because of maybe one's tone, delivery, approach, right? And then there's another way to look at it, y'all, that what if we are afraid to really heal our wounds? Why? Because that bandage has been there so long that's just hanging on, You ever had a minor cut or something and you've cleaned it up and then you jump in the shower and you're like, shoot, man, I should have took this off. And in that moment, of course, you have to take it off and all of that. Or you clean, the wound, you put on the dressing, and then you notice that it's not sticking, but you keep messing with it because you don't want that wound to be open, to the environment or whatever, may be happening with this wound. And you keep applying the pressure, just to make sure it's covered. We can do the same thing with emotional wounds. We can do the same thing with mental wounds. Okay, it's not just limited to our physical, right? But then I want to even journey further into why is it that we don't want to have to really ensure that that emotional and mental wound is really tended to, okay? Because we can keep dressing it up and wrapping it and changing it every day. But if we're going to continue to not be, you know, um, conscientious about the way we're cleaning it, um, maybe it needs to be looked at by a professional. All of these things, right? It's just us rewrapping the same wound, and the wound's not getting any better. We can see it, but it's like I'll just wrap it up and I'll cover it up. And maybe before you know it, it won't be there. Emotional wounds, mental wounds, we can easily do the same thing with, y'all. When it comes to those who suppress, right? That's really what they're doing. They suppress all of the wounds and they continue to suppress them. Before you know it, they're now walking in avoidance, almost as if these things never occurred, almost as if, that was a whole different person. It wasn't them, that this wound was inflicted upon, right? What's another reason that maybe one doesn't want to have to really tend and nurture and heal that wound? Other than avoidance, it could be fear, right? Because to begin to tend this wound and really look at this wound, you may be faced with something that you're not ready to see just yet. And so you continue to tell yourself, I'll look at it at another time. The wound continues to become worse. It may even begin to have infection, right? But as long as you're wrapping it up, you feel as though it's not there because you can't visibly see it, but you may feel it, right? No different than emotional pain and wounds, okay? And so the fear can come for a lot of reasons. The fear can actually be that you have developed a shell of yourself, right? That is safe and you're good with others seeing that shell, but it makes you vulnerable for them to possibly see your wounds, okay? Stay with me for a moment. The other thing may be that you're too afraid. We can become afraid to even tend to the wound because it might open up something else, right? That's the way emotional wounds can really prove to be difficult for a lot of people because this fear that if I begin to face some of these things, if I confront them, what if I happen to just lose it? What if at that moment I truly break? What if at that moment I can't contain it and I can't bounce back? I want to encourage you, even if it's not, in the near future, but at some point in a safe space with those who you feel safe with, um, professionals, people that don't even know you. There is no bias, there is no judgment, right? For you to begin to really examine and have these wounds examined. So that way you can truly begin to holistically heal. And I get it. It's scary. It's scary. But just think of it this way. How much more would you be able to walk in your divine purpose and greatness if, in fact, you were to lessen the load? If, in fact, you were able to not have to spend every day redressing this wound and worrying that others may see it. And you want to hide that, right? Because whether or not you're aware, it's leaked out in a lot of ways, right? So I'm hoping that for anyone that can find this video helpful, it will place you in a state where you can find some level of encouragement to lighten your load, to not continue to carry around this heaviness, and to seek the help and this freedom that you really deserve. As always, I look forward to your feedback. I hope that you all just have a wonderful day. Peace and blessings always.